I'm Evan from the Lonely Stoner podcast, and today I'm going to be giving a couple predictions for UFC Fight Night, the Ridder versus Allen. This is in the Rogers Arena in Vancouver, Canada. So like I said before, the Brazil card, if it's in a certain place, just stack it with all the people from that country, whether they're bums or not, and just leave it like that. It's an excuse to not make good cards, right? But here's the world we live in. Just having a quick look at the card, there's a few fights here that interest me, but I'm just going to do the feature fight, co-main event, and main event, which is Marlon Vera versus Eamon Zahabi. Has some decent implications for bantamweight. Kevin Holland versus Mike Malott, the big Canada guy, versus Kevin Holland, who they fight 17 times a year. And Rene the Ridder versus Brendan Allen, who was originally supposed to be Fluffy Hernandez, but Brendan Allen stepped in, who just lost to Fluffy Hernandez. So, in my opinion, this isn't really that good of a match for the Ridder, because he would have been fighting somebody of a way higher stock in the middleweight division. But Brendan Allen is seen as a sort of mid-level guy at middleweight, as we saw in that fight versus Fluffy. But I'm not talking about the main event yet. I'm going to talk about the feature fight, Marlon Vera versus Eamon Zahabi. I'm going Eamon Zahabi here. Of course, just last fight was a win against Jose Aldo. Very, very scrappy fight. Jose Aldo nearly had him finished in that first round. However, Eamon Zahabi showed a lot of heart. He showed skills as well. He showed some nice striking skills and the ability to keep going forward, take a shot on the chin, get back up, and keep applying serious pressure and put his will on his opponent. Of course, Marlon Vera, he's kind of the opposite in Aldo to that way, in where he doesn't have too much finishing ability, he doesn't have too much power or too much anything special about him offensively. However, his durability is off the charts. We've seen him take some absolutely huge shots and not barely even be knocked down. Like that knee he took from O'Malley was insane. And of course, all of his losses have been by decision. He's never been finished. And I see this continuing. I see him carrying on without being finished, especially against Eamon Zahabi, who doesn't really look like he has much finishing potential. But I'm going to go Eamon Zahabi with a decision here. I think he's going to be a little bit too quick for Marlon Vera. He's going to be a little bit too dynamic, and I think he's going to mix in the grappling really well. And he's got a decent coach behind him as well. I think it's his brother, Faraz Zahabi. So I'm going to go with Eamon Zahabi. I think he's going to get it done. And I think he's Canadian as well, or maybe not Canadian, but based in Canada. So one of the few Canadians I probably would pick, but the next Canadian up is Mike Malott. I'm not going to pick him. I'm picking Kevin Holland in this. I think if you lose to Neil Magny, you will probably lose to Kevin Holland. Similar sort of guys. However, I think Kevin Holland is probably way more dangerous, but with less fight IQ and less game planning. But I don't see Mike Malott having the danger to beat Kevin Holland. However, neither did Kevin Holland's last opponent, really, which was Alex Rodriguez, I think, was his name, the guy that just beat Kevin Holland. So, at the same time, I could pick Malott because Kevin Holland's last performance was really lackluster, but we see this from Kevin Holland. He is inconsistent. He will have a fight against someone you think he should beat, and then he'll lose, and then he'll have a fight with someone you think might beat him now because his last fight didn't look good, and he'll come out and look amazing. I'm going to pick Kevin Holland to come out and look amazing. And I think he thrives under pressure as well. I think in Canada, with the crowd against him, I think he's going to thrive in this situation. And I think he's going to submit Mike Malott. I think he's going to fight. I think Mike Malott's not going to like the range on the feet. I don't think he's going to like how Kevin Holland's going to keep his range. So I think he's going to try and initiate some grappling. And I can see Kevin Holland finding a submission off his back. Maybe a triangle, an arm bar, or maybe even will end up finding the back of Mike Malott and getting like a little rear naked choke. So I'm going to go Kevin Holland by submission. I'm going to go round two. I reckon round one will be like a decently close striking battle. Maybe Kevin Holland might edge it. But what Mike Malott needs to do, if he wants to win, is just be uber aggressive, man. Just don't let Kevin Holland keep that range that he likes. Put his back up against the cage. Just be a dog, man. Just if you can outdog Kevin Holland, because realistically, as me and Seth have said on the podcast before, Kevin Holland's a guy, he just wants to get in and out, right? He doesn't care about titles, he doesn't care about accomplishments, he doesn't care about career. He just wants to get in and out as many times as he can to collect a paycheck. So if Malott is able to put it on him, do some damage, and make Kevin Holland think that, yeah, I've lost this, then Kevin Holland will quit out. And he will check out the fight, and it will be an easy win for Mike Malott. So what Mike Malott needs to do is just be extremely aggressive and not be afraid to mix in some grappling. However, you do want to be careful because Kevin Holland is dangerous on the ground. So now I'll move on to the main event, Renier the Ridder versus Brendan Allen. This is an easy pick. Let's be honest, this is an easy pick. Renier the Ridder all day long. Renier the Ridder, of course, just beat Robert Whittaker. I mean, I almost forgot that was his last win, because if you watch my side quest about that fight, you'll know that I can't really look at Renier the Ridder the same now, especially because he cheated against Whittaker as he was about to get finished. However, Whittaker is way better than Brendan Allen. Whittaker, in my opinion, would beat Brendan Allen. Whittaker is so much of a high-level opponent. This is why I don't really like the fact that Renier the Ridder's sort of stepping down a level to fight a guy like Brendan Allen. And yeah, what I've started to do recently as well with MMA, right? I imagine the fight and imagine the world after in which each of them won, and think which is just more realistic, more feasible. For example, I use this with the Merab Corey fight. Even though it's an easy pick, right? It's like, this is an easy pick for me. But I go, okay, imagine a world where Corey Sandhagen gets a random knockout victory. Can I see Corey Sandhagen as champion? And does he even have a chance to beat whoever they put up against him next? No, and probably no. Same with this. Do I see Brendan Allen standing victorious over Renier the Ridder? No. Do I see him getting a big fight after beating Renier the Ridder? No. I can't envision it, right? And I don't think that we're sitting here in a week's time saying, yeah, Brendan Allen should be getting Robert Whittaker next. Brendan Allen should be getting Sean Strickland next. I just don't think that's going to happen, especially when you've lost to the guys that he already lost to and really struggled against Marvin Vettori in that fight. I mean, he started that fight really good, mixing up the kicks, but he just started boxing with Vettori. And yeah, man, a guy like Brendan Allen does have good skills, right? He has a good skill set, he has good grappling, he has some nice sort of strike techniques, he has decent speed for a middleweight, he has good size for a middleweight. However, he just doesn't use any of it and doesn't really have good fight IQ. It's always been his downfall every fight I've seen from him. And Renier the Ridder, he's scrappy. He's scrappy for sure, but he's a big dog, man. He's dog. Like, he's in that fight beginning to end. You can't count him out. So that's why I'm going to be picking Renier the Ridder. I'm going to go third round finish. So third round TKO. I think he's going to find that knee. I think he's going to put it on Brendan Allen. I think Brendan Allen will not have success in the grappling. I think it will be pretty much like Renier the Ridder winning the fight quite competently throughout, and then he's going to accumulative damage, knees, clinch work, hurt Brendan Allen, TKO him in the fetal position. And that's about it. That's about it from this card. I mean, you got a couple decent fighters down there. You got Davey Grant, who's on a decent streak, quite underrated. You got Drew Dober down in the early prelims, Azamat Bakoev down there on the early prelims. Quite a lot of women's fights. But yeah, hopefully this will be a good fight card. A lot of Canadians. These Canada cards usually aren't really that good. But hey, hopefully my picks go well. I've been Evan from the Lonely Stoner podcast. Peace.